All right, we begin with last night's potential finals preview between the Nets and Lakers. Brooklyn dominated a shorthanded Lakers team. Already missing Anthony Davis, had Dennis Schroeder scratched from the lineup because of COVID protocols not that long before the opening tip. The Nets were, of course, without KD themselves, but still had 5 players score double figures last night. With that win, the Nets are now 10-1 against teams with records over 500. Not so good with teams under 500. We'll get to that later. After the game, LeBron and Kyrie talked about seeing each other again down the road.
I mean, it's just next man up. And, whoever number was called, we just got to pick each other up. Obviously, missing, already with missing AD and, then our starting point guard and Dennis. A big blow for us. But, listen, they're missing a big piece of their team as well. We just didn't play, to our capabilities tonight, but give them credit.
We'll see them down the line again, and we look forward to it with a whole entire healthy Lakers team. That's what we really wanted. I know everybody wants that, and so I'm looking forward to the challenge and seeing them down the line.
Seeing them down the line. So, Richard, how worried should the defending champs be about what we're seeing from the Nets right now, especially last night?
Well, I think the entire league should be worried, to tell you the truth. With all honesty, the entire league should be worried about what you're seeing from this Nets team. That means that when they are playing against a high-level team, they show up and play. When they play against a team that's not so much, they kind of their lack of defense shows up. But even Kyrie, there was an attitude about it. He's like, we'll see him down the line with all of the guys. That's what they say. That's what we wanted too. We didn't. Basically, he's saying is like we didn't want any excuses, right? Yes, they were missing Anthony Davis. We're missing Kevin Durant. Right? So it's like we didn't want any excuses, but we're going to do the exact same thing when they have their full team and we have their full team.
Well, I'm going to take it a step farther. Yes, they should be worried, but they need to be worried about getting out of the West first. Because if that gentleman right there that you see, Anthony Davis, doesn't come back, they still need to secure a spot in the West to getting out, beating Utah and or the Clippers. So I think, yes, like RJ said, you definitely need to be worried about, everyone should be worried about the Nets right now. But the Lakers have to worry about the way the Utah Jazz are playing. And of course, the Clippers have been wanting to get, to be big brother in LA, as for so long. So this is an opportunity for them to take advantage of it if there's no AD.
Yeah, I mean, look, when the season started, the feeling was a lot of people at the Lakers sort of ranked up here almost in their own group, right? Because they were the champions, and they had probably the best offseason of any team. So they're champions, and they got better. Well, the Clippers have gotten off to a pretty strong start this season, and the Jazz are on actual physical fire. I am convinced they have to carry a fire extinguisher with them at all times just so that they don't do damage to whatever court that they are on. So they are now moved up in the echelon and tiers as well. So before you look, as you say, Vince, across the pond over to the east part of the country, you want to get it right in the West, and that depends on Anthony Davis. Now, last night, Coach Frank Vogel said that they expect AD to be out for 4 weeks. So that's a lot longer than just, we'll see again after the All-Star break. Vince, how conservative do you think the Lakers can afford to be with this timetable?
To be honest with you, I want them to be extremely conservative. We got to see what happened to KD, and it was unfortunate. And a lot of us, RJ, I'm sure you saw it as well. We all said, no, KD, we don't want you to play because you could potentially get hurt. And what happened? So I look at the same situation with AD. Take as long as you need. A month, 2 months. I say you take 2 months, 2.5 months, come back 2 weeks, a month left in the season, get yourself back into playing shape, get back in rhythm, take the first round to kind of get yourself going. Well, that's if they're the number 1 seed, but kind of, you want to put yourself in that position there. You don't want to risk him getting hurt now and out for the rest of the season. Then you put yourself in a different situation where you, like you said, you might not get out of the second round or even get to the Western Conference Finals at that point.
I'm going to take it one step further to what Vince is saying. Ultimately, if Anthony Davis gets hurt or if he's not 100% healthy, you're going to lose him for 2 seasons. That means no championship this year. That means no championship next year. So you want to be extremely cautious, right? So I'm okay with them. Hey, you can come back with 2 weeks to go in the season because we don't want your calf Achilles at 80%, at 90%. We want it at 100%. And so if Anthony
no
Davis is
compensating.
100% and no compensate, if you're playing well, the Lakers are the favorite in the Western Conference. I think the Nets have started to question people on whether or not the Lakers should be the favorite overall in the NBA. I think the Nets probably have the biggest say in that so far.
Well, look, and for people questioning your math, Richard, you're basically saying if that happens, what happens to AD happened with what happened with Kevin Durant, right? He had the Achilles strain. Right? He was out for a little bit, or calf strain, and there was always sort of what exactly are we calling it? And of course, it's all the same area of the leg, whatever you happen to call it. And then, of course, we saw him come back for the NBA Finals, ruptured the Achilles, and then was out for an additional whole chunk of time. In his case, it was almost a year and a half because of the schedule.
Well, it's all connected.
Right. Yeah.
It's all connected. So you're not going to rush him back. If he has that Achilles injury, you're not going to rush AD back like you did Kyrie. You're not going to rush him back the following season. Now you're prolonging it, and you're just adding insult to injury. So like RJ said, it is probably a season and a half process from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So they do not want to get into that. And I think the whole league learned from the Kevin Durant example about a year and a half ago, and everyone may be being over cautious. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.